Hi. I don't know if anyone told you about me. I'm a new student here. My name is Katie Heron.
Talk to me again and I'll kick your ass.
The ways that girls mess with each other is so clever and intricate, and yet instinctively it's there. Every girl and woman is capable of doing it.
Katie, will you please tell him his hair looks sexy pushback? Chris Rock said something really interesting. He said, women would run the world if they didn't hate each other. That's the only thing that keeps them from running this whole planet, is that we hate each other.
Why do you hate her?
What do you mean?
Regina, you seem to really hate her.
Yes. What's your question?
Girls just, I don't know. There's just this vibe sometimes, unless you don't know the girl. There's a vibe in the beginning, you know? There's just this competition.
I mean, that's just like the rules of feminism.
Girls can be really mean. I think mainly because they're like, so many girls are so insecure, especially when you're going through your teenage years and you don't know who you are, so you're trying to be anything that like feels slightly comfortable, even if it's not yourself.
That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
There's always rivalry in high school. You're believing what one person says and then going and confronting one other person. But that's the fun about high school. You grow out of it eventually, hopefully. Having lunch with the plastics was like leaving the actual world and entering Girl World. And Girl World had a lot of rules.
When I read Rosalind Wiseland's book, Queen Bees and Wannabes, the thing that struck me the most about it was the anecdotes of real behaviors of, interviews she had done with all these girls. And at first I just I found them really to be very funny.
The basic premise of Mean Girls is actually kind of spoken about in a speech later in the movie that's repeated when Katie has her epiphany. And it's basically that calling somebody else fat won't make you any skinnier, calling somebody else stupid won't make you any smarter.
You guys have got to stop calling each other sluts and whores. It's just bad for business. When I read Rosalind Wiseman's book, I just really, all the things that she talked about, they reminded me of the way I was. They were sort of the way you hate the girl that has the boy you like, regardless, she's never done anything to you except she has the boy that you like, and you hate her, and you are just full of all-consuming bile.
I read a lot of scripts that are really like dumb funny. You're like, oh, this is so gross, or this is just so inappropriate, or it's so over the top. And this has like a tiny element of, silliness to it, but it's also it's really intelligent humor.
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die.
I first approached Lauren because I had been reading about Rosalind's book and reading her book. I mentioned to him that maybe this could be a movie, and so he has this relationship with Paramount, so we got the ball rolling.
She thought this was what she wanted to write a movie about. I said, great. We set about with Paramount to acquire the rights to the book, and then she began.
I, in my foolishness and naivete, said, yeah, I'll adapt Rosalind's book. And then when I really sat down and read Rosalind's book, I was like, this is non-fiction, non-narrative book. There's no story in this book. So I had painted myself into the corner of making a story where there was only parental guidance.
There was never any point at which we thought it wasn't going to be a comedy. It's a very rich subject matter, and I think there was more and more talk about this subject, and so it seemed very much in the air, and also I knew that she'd have a smart take on it.
It's very realistic and true to high school. There's things that are more than people do in high school. That's the fun of the script, and I think Tina just did a great job of really getting into the characters.
A lot of teen movies nowadays, you don't have characters that have backgrounds, but you can ask Tina, what do you think of my character? You can ask her questions about your character, and she'll know every answer. She knows who these people are.
I think this film is unique because it kind of has a couple of different voices kind of going on in it. There's a really real element, about kind of, the downside of high school and the good things, that really do actually affect people and affect how you grow up.
Promise me you won't make fun of her.
Of course I'm not gonna make fun of her.
You're so sweet.
And I think that's Tina Fey's script. That's the thing that sets it apart, is the intelligence of the writing and the nuance and the kind of the depth of all these kind of universe of characters that she created is something that you normally are not going to get inside your average cookie-cutter high school picture.
There's no room for weakness. There's just, if you're weak, you'll just get eaten alive. And Katie comes in and she is a very strong person, and so quickly figures out at least one way to survive, and then in this environment and then maybe realizes that's not the best way.
The thing that I'm most going for with the movie is this kind of highly charged situation of high school and the hormones that are raging and the fact that you're kind of trying to act like adults and trying to be socialized like adults, but you're not adults. Like all of those things going on lead to a lot of turmoil.
Watch out, please. New meat coming through.
We have a girl who's kind of like a complete virgin, and not in just sexual ways, but in every manner of being. In girl world, in a teenage world, and kind of in an American world, has no conception of what it means to live in the modern day culture. And she gets plunked down into the middle of this crazy petri dish of the Midwestern high school.
It's just basically about a girl who's into this new school and has to deal with meeting new people and trying to become like a certain group of people and take one of them down all at once, and everything kind of blows back in her face because she doesn't realize what she's done, what she's created.
Lindsay is so great playing Katie, and she's so wonderful to watch and so charming, and you like her instantly.
Hey. Action. Cut.
Lindsay gives you this giant advantage in casting that the audience already likes her.
What Lindsay brings to it is her strength. The big danger with the role of Katie is to have a wallflower who's kind of shy and wilting and can get chewed up and spit out. And the thing that Lindsay brings is that even when she's in a supposedly passive mode, she's so alive and so strong that you always feel like she's a very formidable contender.
Lindsay, she not only sort of understood the script, but she, I think in a certain way, Tina instantly trusted her judgment about what was right and what sounded right in the characters.
What? I read Tina's script so long ago. I read the first draft, and I loved it. I thought it was hysterical. And I was actually more interested in playing Regina.
And we thought we should see if we can find somebody to play Katie opposite you. And we didn't really find anybody who I thought was kind of strong enough to play Katie opposite her. And then also Lindsay started to kind of like the idea of playing Katie.
Then I was like, I don't really want to play the mean girl and stuff, and I don't want like, you know what I mean? I mean, it'll be fun eventually if I could do that, but I think right now where I'm at, I don't think I'm in a position where I can just go and play a mean girl and still hope people think I'm nice, because they think you're your character sometimes. Especially like my little sister. If she saw it, she'd be like, why are you so mean?
Katie, do you even know who sings this?
The Spice Girls?
I love her. She's like a Martian.
Lindsay is the absolute center of the picture. When we saw her in Freaky Friday, and I, of course, seen her in Parent Trap as well, she just was perfect for it.
I think that she brings both the element of kind of innocence and, you know, a sense of knowing and maturity to the role. That's really good for it.
Action.
What day is it?
It's October 3rd.
Firstly, she's kind of overwhelmed by the sheer madness of it all, the number of people and the craziness, and it basically has no place to find her footing. And then the biggest outcasts of the school, who are also the smart, witty outsiders, like kind of the art freaks, see her as somebody who could be a kindred spirit just because she seems weird. They are kind of her first friends at school, and they introduce her to or tell her the legend of the Plastics, which is Regina and Gretchen and Karen, who are the most popular girls in school, yet at the same time the most feared and hated.
Who are the Plastics?
They're teen royalty. If North Shore was Us Weekly, they would always be on the cover.